We're going to be taking a look at word problems and a tool we can use when we are comparing two parts of a word problem. In our 3-read strategy that we've been using, there are 3 times we read the problem. The first time we're focused on what is the problem about. Jane and Ernie have had some apples. Jane has 8 apples. Ernie had 12 apples. Who has more apples? How many more? So the first thing, our first read through, it tells me that our focus is apples. And I'm putting a box around apples. What are the quantities is our second read. Jane and Ernie had some apples. Jane has 8 apples. Ernie had 12 apples. Who has more apples? How many more? Our second read, we have got our quantity, the number of apples we have are 8 and 12. And I am putting a circle around both of the quantities. There also is a quantity listed that some of you may have noticed that we don't know for sure yet whether it's going to be, how it's going to be put to use. That other quantity is some. We have some apples. It is an unknown quantity. The sum is the quantity and the apples are what there are that the quantity is of. We have our last read. What is the question for this problem? Jane and Ernie had some apples. Jane has 8 apples. Ernie had 12 apples. This is a problem where it could be 2 different questions with just that part. With the sum, our question could be, how many apples do they have together? Or it might be, how many more or how many less apples? Let's read on and figure out what the question is. Who has more apples? That is clearly stated. Our question, one of our questions is who has more apples? And we have a second question. How many more apples? In figuring this out, there are several methods we might use. One of the methods we have used before, which is we draw our circles for our apples. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 apples. I put my little space here so that I can really count with ease. These are Jane's apples. And then I have Ernie's apples. And Ernie had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He has 12 apples. I have both of my apples drawn. When we are doing a comparison equation, we are going to check this apple and this apple match. These are Jane's and Ernie's apples. We have a matching apples, the same amount here. And then at the end, we have 4 more apples. We have 4 more for Ernie, or 4 fewer for Jane. And we have drawn it out, and we can see it using our drawing of our apples. This can also be shown without the circles and using a different method called comparison bars. What we are using are comparison bars to figure out how to compare using word problems. We have Ernie, we have Jane. We know that Ernie has 12 apples. So we're going to draw a bar to show 12. We know that Jane has 8 apples, and we are wondering what the difference between the two are. And we are going to show that by drawing a circle for our difference. We know that Jane has 4 more apples. We can count on, we can say 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 more apples. It was the question here, and once we have the answer, we can show it by putting our answer in here. 4 more apples. These are the comparison bars. We are comparing our 8 to our 12 and figuring out what is the missing part, or how many more or fewer are making in our comparison.